Hey guys, welcome back to Mommy Monday. It is Tuesday. I did have some problems with my computer yesterday. The iMovie app kept shutting down and I just couldn't figure out how to keep it up. So we are taking my computer to Apple Care today and I get to use Ed's computer. We are in the great outdoors because I am actually watching my 2-year-old at the same time while making this video. I just wanted to get it up as soon as possible and not wait till tonight since I am a day late. What I wanted to discuss today is home birth versus hospital birth. I have had both, lucky me, and this is just a video solely based on my own experience. This is not a black and white thing. Birth is your experience, it's what you make out of it. For my first birth with Kyson, I actually had him at our local hospital, and it was, everything I kind of didn't expect. I didn't educate myself before the birth. I didn't take any classes. I kind of just believe, everyone gets pregnant, you go to the hospital, you have a baby, you go home, and that's just how birth worked. I remember, upon arriving to the hospital, they put me in a wheelchair and they wheel me up to go to the maternity ward to get all checked in. There, they checked me for dilation, and because I was contracting every 2 minutes, they kept me, even though I was only 2 centimeters dilated. They went ahead and changed me into a gown. I was hooked up to all these different, all these different monitors, an IV. I mean, I kind of felt like a beached whale / transformer. I think just with the whole environment of the bright lights, 20 different nurses coming in and out, all these machines making different noises, I kind of just got so overwhelmed and stressed, and that stress kind of released a hormone that just made my labor so much harder than it needed to be. It was just it's a crazy environment in the hospital. You don't know where you are, it's unfamiliar, and it's alarming when you get there. It's super alarming. You don't know what's going on, especially as a first-time mom. Everything is just a new experience. So for me, I just felt there was a lot of unnecessary procedures going on, a lot of unnecessary just everything. Too many lights, just all these different machines. But at the time, I knew nothing different, so I rolled with it. I did request the epidural. No one was pushy about it. And I know a lot of times I hear different mom stories saying, the epidural gets pushed on them, Pitocin gets pushed on them, Stadol gets pushed on them. I did actually request pain relief, and it came extremely quick. That epidural needle is woo, this long. Hurts like a bitch. Excuse me, I shouldn't have said that. It just really hurts though when you're contracting and they have you sit still, and I'm holding my husband sitting over the bed, and the anesthesiologist comes in with the needle, and I didn't watch, I didn't know exactly what goes on. I have it on film. I still haven't watched that part. But once it's in, there's pretty much immediate relief, and for me, I just conked out. Probably for about 6 hours. I just passed out, woke up vomiting due to the pain medication, made me super sick. And on top of that, they have these little barf airplanes. Sorry if this is choppy. I am outside, and I don't live far from the airport, but back on track. So I had this little barf bucket, and so I'm throwing up, and then I look down and there's a hole at the bottom of it. So not only am I just a bloody mess and I have a catheter of urine draining somewhere, I now am throwing up and have, they don't let you eat during labor, so it was just liquid, but it's just pouring all over the place, and I kind of just hand it to Ed. By that time, I'm just so over birth, and I just want this baby out. The epidural has started to wear off, so I'm feeling extreme freaking pressure in my lower back. That was, whew. And on top of it, you're laying on your back in the bed. You can't really sit up, especially with the epidural, because you have absolutely no feeling from the waist down. And then maybe an hour after I woke up, it must have been about 8:30 a.m., I started getting tingling back in one leg, so I knew the epidural was wearing off, which kind of totally sucked, because you do want it to last till the end of birth. Got feeling back in one leg. It started those little needle prickles, and that's when I knew I probably pushed that epidural button far too many times for pain relief. there's nothing they can do. There's a certain amount they can only administer you, and I drained that amount pretty quick. Maybe an hour after I woke up, it was time to push. I was at that point, very vocal. The nurse is telling me to calm down, and I kind of just wanted to punch her in the frickin' face. Who tells a mother in active labor to calm down? Like, what the hell? Don't tell me to calm down. Like, get the hell out of here. So upon that, I told her I was ready to push, and she went ahead and checked me. Another thing at the hospital is they do dilation checks on the regular. I mean, I felt like it was every freaking hour someone's hand was at my vagina. 2 centimeters, 3 centimeters, oh, 1 more centimeter to go. And it's not like they're gentle with it. I mean, they just ram their freaking hand up there, and one of my biggest complaints was that it hurts like hell. Like, who do you think you are? Be a little gentle. I know you're doing this all day, but gosh. What was it? I'm on, I'm getting ready to push. I tell the nurse I have to push. I felt my body, squeezing, and I just really needed to push. And she went ahead and checked. I was only 9.5 centimeters based on her fingers, and she told me to wait. We can't push till we're fully 10, which I understand, but at the same time, I fully, at that point, was so angry kind of with the whole procedure, just everything going on, just having like something so unpeaceful, just being in a sick gown, the whole mood just wasn't great. I told her, okay, I'm going to push with or without you, and by then, Ed was kind of just caught in the middle between me and the nurse, and it's just wasn't a bad time, but I mean, I'm a mother about to give birth, and you're telling me to calm down, and my body's telling me to push, but you're telling me not to push. I mean, imagine yourself in that situation. It totally is just like chaotic. I get to 10 centimeters. She went ahead and put my legs in the stirrups. I'm laying on my back. She tells me to start pushing. I start pushing, telling me I'm being too loud. So they tell you to close your mouth, kind of curve your neck into a C position, push like that, no noise, bear down like you're having a bowel movement, which is fine. I mean, I think it is more effective pushing, but for me, I kind of just wanted to scream. Like, I don't know. But I was quiet upon their request, as you kind of feel like they have your best interest, and with like that pain medication, you don't really have any feeling of your bottom half, so you're not really in control. So you just feel out of control of the whole situation. And, I pushed the baby out. I was pushing, and all of a sudden she goes to her computer and types. Ed said something about an aggressive pusher, and they needed a doctor ASAP, so they pushed a button, and this red light started going off because the baby was coming out. The doctor came in during the crowning, so he was able to catch the baby. He just came in really late, and what he did do is he did give me an episiotomy, and that was probably the most painful part of the whole birth with Kyson. That was the only time I screamed bloody murder and said a very bad word. Holy smokes, that was excruciating, especially because I didn't have, I had feeling down there again, so he just came in and snipped it. I don't know if the snip was necessary. It was my first baby, and he was only 7 pounds, 14 ounces, and also 22 inches, so he was long and skinny. He wasn't very big. A part of me wishes I would have just torn naturally and been sewed up. Had I have known now, I would have definitely changed a lot of things. I definitely would have educated myself on birth, but back then I didn't know much about it. I just thought that's how things happened. The whole environment, just to me, I think for my personality, is just extremely overstimulating. Just too much going on for me, but I don't regret the birth. The ending was beautiful. I had a beautiful baby boy, and I mean, you kind of, after you hold him, you just kind of forget about everything. So my birth with Fiore was a home water birth, and oh my gosh, I only have good things to say about it. It literally like chokes me up inside. It was everything I could have ever imagined, dreamed of. It was perfect. See, it makes me sad. It makes me happy sad, like happy tears thinking about it. Whew. Well, first of all, I chose to have a home water birth because I wanted just to own my birth. I wanted my experience, you know, I wanted that feeling of empowerment. I knew I wanted some form of pain relief, and that's why I chose the water birth versus doing it on my own bed. For prenatal care with my OB, it was very short, quick. He never really spent more than 15 minutes with us. You know, it was a lot of waiting in the waiting room. I actually knew his nurse better than I knew my actual OB. And at the midwifery, they really make a point to get to know you as a person. They want to know exactly what your birth plan is. They ask for a copy of it. They go over it with you. They ask questions, you ask questions, and then they're just there to get to know you, and they want your experience to be the best. And that wasn't the case with the OB. I was just treated like a regular patient. He never went over my birth plan with me, never even asked for it, and you know, I think that's important. My birth with Fiore was just amazing. Like I said, I woke up at 4 a.m. and that's when I initially knew something wasn't right. The baby was probably coming today, and I was just like overwhelmed with excitement. Contractions were super light. I called my midwife and she's like, well, we're gonna come right now because this is your second baby and they tend to come a lot quicker. And that definitely was the case. From labor to birth was 4 hours. So definitely a quick one. Just knowing I was going to meet the baby was so exciting. And I just was so happy. When the midwife got here, they went ahead and took my blood pressure, and it was a little high. And they weren't sure why, but I kind of told them, you know, I'm just so excited to meet the baby. And, well, they just accredited it to, like, my pure excitement and just the fact that hard labor hasn't even started. So after an hour, they retook the blood pressure, and it did stabilize, and it was stable through the whole labor. But when hard labor did start, I was able, you know, to use my own shower. I kind of totally zombied out, like, you know, that was totally me, like zombie woman in the shower. I also sat on the toilet because that position felt really good, and I totally thought the idea of imagine your cervix opening like a flower was a crock of shit. I mean, when people said that, I totally thought, like, okay, yeah, whatever. I'm not imagining anything open like a flower because I know how bad it hurts. But I actually really focused on the idea of my cervix opening like a flower during labor, and I think it totally worked. You know, 4 hours to full dilation, that is super, super quick. And I never really felt like I hit active labor. And when they told me it's time to make my way over to the tub, I was shocked because I totally planned on using the tub to help reduce labor pain. I was just so into the contractions and moving with them and just totally being like a freakish zombie that I think I kind of missed of when I hit active labor. I did for the last hour labor in bed, and I was laying on my side, and Ed was spooning me, and he was just kind of rubbing my arm, and I was actually able to fall asleep a few seconds during each contraction, which sounds so weird, but I would kind of doze off to sleep, and then I would wake up, you know, have my contraction, kind of move with it, moan it out, eyes in the back of my head, and then it was maybe, around 7:45 that the midwife came and checked me, and I was 8 centimeters. She only gave me 2 dilation checks, which was super nice, and they were super gentle. So thumbs up to that. She said, make your way over to the tub, and she had her birth assistant there. And she whispered to her birth assistant that my water is probably going to break walking over to the tub. And the only reason I know that is because Ed was watching them. And Ed was still like weary about a home birth, even though we did educate ourselves. He comes from a very medical background, where I come from a very hippie, free spirit, raw vegan parents kind of background. So for me, completely different idea of what it is, where he is still, kind of stuck onto that Western medical thing, where I'm just, all for all natural homeopathic ways of doing things. But I make my way over to the tub. My water didn't break. I get in, and, I'm having contractions every minute, extremely, frequent now. So I go ahead and lower myself into the tub. As soon as I hit that tub, my water pops. As soon as it broke, I just felt, holy cow, I need to push. And the midwife didn't even check if I was 10 centimeters. She just told me, you know, when you're ready, go ahead and start pushing. You're going to start feeling some pressure. Or this birth, as far as pushing goes, I roared like a freaking lion. Luckily, it was at 8 a.m. and like there was cars driving by, people were leaving for school, for work, so it was kind of like busier outside. So I hope I didn't scare anybody, but oh girl, I screamed so loud, and you know, it just felt good. I mean, I was roaring. I actually had to get a cough drop after the birth because my throat was so scratchy. But, you know, it's just kind of that, like, warrior princess thing where you just bear down and you just push that baby out. And I remember looking at my husband, and I smiled at him, and I told him, you know, I'm doing it, and I'm doing it, and this is everything. Oh my gosh. This is everything I could, you know, everything I wanted. Like, it happened. See, it makes me so sad. I mean, it doesn't make me sad. It's just like, it was just so awesome, you know, to have that moment with him. And he looks at me and he's like, yeah, baby, you're doing it. You're doing so well. You know, it just gives you all that confidence in the world. And I went ahead and I pushed her out in less than maybe 5 minutes. And I caught her myself, and I brought her to my chest, and I was holding her, and she didn't really cry for the first minute. And I think a lot of the times we think, oh, babies have to cry right away, but you know, she was breathing, and we kind of like slapped her on her little booty, and she started crying, and it was just like that moment, and Ed was there, and just with that, bringing that new life into the world is so, so awesome. There's just nothing like it. I can't even hold it together. So yeah, I mean, hands down, super awesome. Ed went ahead and took the baby. I got out of the tub where my placenta was delivered, and I did have that encapsulated. I will totally do a separate video on placenta encapsulation and the benefits. But they gave me the baby in the bed, and we just, you know, bonded for 2 hours. She nursed. They never took her away and put a diaper on her. You know, it was just me and Ed holding our new baby, getting, you know, every ounce of love with her, and that feeling of that hormone, that love hormone that just takes over after birth is just a flow of freaking everything happy in this world. Like the love you feel, that like birth high of accomplishment, it is so freaking awesome. It is like nothing in this world. If I can just bottle that and give it to everyone, this world would be a perfect place. Definitely something I will never forget. It's just, I consider it one of my greatest accomplishments, and I've done a lot of great things. After those 2 hours of bonding, they did take her and give her her little vitamin K shot and put a diaper on her and weighed her, and she was a whopping 9 pounds 8 ounces. So definitely a bigger baby. I'm not sure if it's attributed to the Bradley diet I did follow, which is just loads and loads and loads of protein. I was actually a vegan before my birth. Hands down, if I have if I get pregnant again, I would definitely 500% have another home birth. I highly recommend it. Definitely do your homework, find what works for you and what's best, obviously, for your financial situation. But I just wanted to share my experience, and I hope this is helpful, especially if you are in the process of deciding where you want to have birth. I would definitely research home birth. It is safe, quite the contrary to what other people think. I would definitely educate yourself on it. Bradley classes are great. Hypno Babies is totally awesome. You know, it's all about thought training. I would just definitely educate yourself, know what's out there, know that hospital birth is not the only birth available. There are so many options out there for you. Do your homework. That is all I have for you today. Sorry for all the rambling and the tears, but I'm pulled together now. So we will talk to you guys soon. Thank you for watching. Bye, everybody.